We are back. You are chatting with John P. Today, I'm going to be talking about why Baselworld dying is one of the best things that could happen to the watch community for collectors. Now, I don't think it's a great thing for authorized dealers. In fact, I think it's probably horrible, and it's another nail in the coffin for the long story of what is authorized dealers, especially in the United States. But I think for collectors, it brings a whole lot of great things to the watch industry, the watch space, us as a hobby, and also us being able to communicate with each other. I'm going to talk about it, but please do not forget to thumbs up, like, and subscribe. I really do appreciate it. So if you haven't heard the news, and I'm sure you have because everyone's talking about it, because there's only so much news in the watch industry, especially during these troubling times for many, if not most, Baselworld is pretty much dead. What happened is a lot of brands, including Rolex, Tudor, Patek Philippe, they pulled out of Baselworld. Those are the main brands right there. That's what people look forward to. Those brands pulled out. They said they're going to start another show at the same time as Watches and Wonders, which was SIHH, essentially renamed, though also they changed the format. Now let me explain this because this is important both for SIHH as well as Baselworld, and this is really the main premise behind my argument here. SIHH renamed to Watches and Wonders, and it became more consumer focused and collector focused, focusing more on us as watch collectors. While I'm a watch dealer, I'm not an authorized dealer. We buy, sell, trade pre-owned watches with Del Rey Watch. But even previously, I've collected and traded so many watches over the last 10, 11, 12 years that I really consider myself more of a collector, though with a dealer perspective and insight, because that's what we do here at Del Rey Watch. And I can tell you that when you look at these fairs that were traditionally made for authorized dealers, SIHH, Baselworld, what you had is you had a bunch of salespeople in a room that were, marketing people, account managers, some industry veterans, and they were there to sell units, sell watches. They call them units because they're in the industry, but to them, it's just another product. They were just selling units to authorized dealers. Authorized dealers would see the latest and greatest releases. Oh, wow, this brand came out with this release. This other brand came out with this release. Oh, Rolex put a new movement in one of their watches. That's a little bit better. Okay, place order, place order, place order. Now, as time went on, that became less relevant for a couple of reasons. One, we have the internet. So people could just get the information from the internet. And collectors, that's the only real way that collectors were getting that information. But those shows were never made for collectors. They were really made, once again, for those authorized dealers. And looking back, Baselworld came out in like 1925, so around there, and they had a different name originally, and then they renamed it in 1983 to Baselworld. And this was a jewelry fair, this was a watch fair, and this was for those in the industry, a trade show to trade. There was no internet. You couldn't just put up a spreadsheet or a PDF on the internet, which is what they do now, and say, here's our releases, place an order, authorized dealer. But now, because more people are shopping online, especially in this pandemic, as well as there being a bit of a pushback sometimes between authorized dealers and brands, the authorized dealers don't really want to follow the rules of the brands, and they don't want to place huge orders if they can't sell the watches. And it's difficult to sell some brands today new when you have gray market dealers and the holding companies that own a lot of these brands, including Richemont, Swatch Group. They have sometimes a difficult time to control that, or they sometimes even enable the gray marketing of watches because it dumps excess inventory. The authorized dealer is really just not treated as well as time goes on as the consumer. It really shows, while at the expense of authorized dealers, that the brands and the companies that run the brands and watch houses out there, they're really focusing more on the consumer. And I think that's really important. And when I say consumer, I mean collectors. We're collectors. Is that I think it's very important because in recent times, the last 5 years, as stainless steel sports watches were through the roof, we're talking bull markets, we're talking really high watch sales across the board out there in the industry, including new watches. We really saw, and many people felt, based on the comments below, so much great feedback I've received from collectors in the comments on previous videos, and I read all of the comments. A lot of people felt that some brands just didn't treat them well. You know, they felt they were spending tons and tons of money with them, thousands upon thousands, if not more, tens of thousands of dollars, and the brands just didn't really care a whole lot. So they gravitated towards brands that did care, and the brands would care about the authorized dealers and the gray marketers because it made them money. But when you see brands pulling out of Baselworld, a trade show, and instead setting up their own show where it's focused on consumers, focused on having more of a luxury experience, they're probably going to be including cars like Watches and Wonders does. When you go to the Watches and Wonders page, I'm sure that this fair is going to be piggybacking off it. It's going to be very similar. I know it's going to be. There's no other reason that they would do this. They have cars, they have luxury accommodations, experiences, celebrity chefs, all of that type of experience-driven thing for the consumer and not the authorized dealers or those in the industry. And so whether or not we think that authorized dealers are just going to go away someday, and I think that very well may be the case for many places in the world, eventually, once again, this is not happening overnight. I think regardless, we as watch collectors are getting a lot out of this. We're seeing that the brands finally want to play. They finally want to treat watch collectors a little bit better. And while, this really is speculation, I think it's founded in a lot of evidence here. And I think many people, once again, and some people are going to think that this is absolutely crazy. They're like, what do you mean the brands are treating people bad? Look in the comments on previous videos. If you're one of these guys that kind of either went to a boutique and felt that, you gave them a lot of money and they didn't give you great service there after purchasing, and you just feel like it wasn't a luxury experience, leave it in the comments below, because this is a top comment that I get all of the time, especially from Rolex, Tudor, not so much Omega anymore, but I get this comment quite a lot. I think we are going to see the brands, and I hope we're going to see the brands really start to treat collectors as much more of a luxury experience. Now, this might come at a bit of a price tag. It just depends. Baselworld dying without considering that they are replacing it with something, or they say they're going to replace it with something. I think that's great, because keep in mind, when you buy a watch, all of the company's expenses are factored into that watch. And when you consider that brands would go and spend millions and millions of dollars wining and dining authorized dealers and setting up these booths that they would throw away, these elaborate, huge, shiny booths with all these lights and panels and luxury items and goods and champagne and cigars, and they were doing this for the authorized dealers so that when you walked into an authorized dealer, they would push you on a watch to close you. And then what we see is the authorized dealers oftentimes were not treating customers at least the way that they wanted to be treated. Now, I'm not saying they weren't treating them sufficiently, but at least the way they want to be treated. All of that was baked into the price of that watch. And so maybe, just maybe, now I don't know if there's serious evidence to support this because I don't have access to their financials, but maybe we will even see the prices of watches go down or increase of quality in exchange for the same price. I could see that happening if their marketing budgets go down, though I think we'll probably also see them reallocate those funds to digital marketing because some brands are really dropping the ball. But it's interesting to think about, and it really goes to show that when we're looking at luxury goods and when we're looking at specifically these watches, it might be finally time, especially in this down market, for the brands to really focus on the collectors and those that are the most passionate about these items, even in a down market, because casual buyers are not buying right now. But we at Del Rey Watch, we're working with a lot of people that love watches as a hobby, as a passion, as a community, and they're still buying, selling, trading, having fun, while those people on the sidelines, the casual buyers, those that the authorized dealers would slam into a Datejust that they didn't want or a Cellini that they didn't want, which is very rarely a collector, those buyers are gone right now. So we as collectors are really all the brands have in this down market. But I want to hear what you have to say about this. What do you think about Baselworld ending? Do you think it matters? Personally, I think that it's a great thing for collectors that Baselworld's ending. I think we're going to see some interesting things come out of it. Leave in the comments below. And also, I think we should all be very excited because we are no longer going to be seeing endless videos and blog posts about Baselworld predictions. Every year, 2018, 2017, so, since 1920, there's been YouTube videos about Baselworld predictions from me, Baselworld predictions from you, this bezel, that movement on the Rolex watches. I'm personally sick of it. I made a few out there, I'll admit, because people actually did want to see that. But I am thoroughly joyed that we will never have to see Baselworld 2021 prediction videos from YouTube ever again. Baselworld prediction, nothing comes out 2021. Ciao.